I'm in the beautiful city of Rome. You can see the skyline of Rome behind me, including St. Peter's Dome. We're here filming for the Ignatius Loyola episode in our Pivotal Players series. So I've been reading up a lot on Ignatius, thinking a lot about him. He's someone who's had a big impact on my own spiritual life. And maybe the signal principle of Ignatius' spirituality is finding God in all things. You know, in the Bible, there's a strong sense on the otherness of God, the transcendence of God. So, Lord, you're a hidden God, the God of Israel. No one sees the face of God and lives, etc. Well, that's true. God's the creator of all things, so God is not an item within the universe. He's other. At the same time, precisely as creator, God is present to all things. Think of Psalm 139. Lord, where can I run from your love? If I climb to the heavens, you're there. I go to the sea's furthest end, even there your right hand holds me up. God is also unavoidable because God sustains all things. It's that second biblical idea that lies behind St. Ignatius' principle, to find God in all things. There's a wonderful Jesuit thinker called Jean-Pierre de Caussade who had one great idea, but very much inspired by Ignatius. It was, whatever is happening to us is in one sense the will of God. Either God is directly willing it, or God at least is permitting it. So whatever we're experiencing, whatever is happening to us, is God's will. And once you see your life that way, everything changes. It's not just something that's dumbly happening, but it's happening as a result of God's will. Here's something else. If God is really present in and to all things, God is never dumbly present, like I say the oxygen is present to me now, just as an element. No, if God is present, that means God is present intelligently, with will and with purpose. God is giving us, offering us something in every moment. To live your life out of that sensibility is to find God in all things. You know, years ago, Michael Leach, who was the editor of Crossroad, then of Orbis, I wrote books for him for both those publishing houses. But he once said to me, the question in the Baltimore Catechism that he would have studied as a kid, the question was, where is God? The answer, everywhere. And Mike Leach said, if you really take that in, your whole life will change. And see, that's a very Ignatian idea. Where is God? Well, God's available in all things. Your life, your consciousness, your whole mentality will change when you see the world that way. Think for a second, the atheist and the Christian are seeing the same world. We're not looking at different worlds, but the Christian looks at it now through these lenses of the presence of God in all things. Now, let me just give you an example. And this occurred to me yesterday. I was flying over here from LA. Long flight, direct from LA to Rome. And I read for the first several hours, watched a couple of shows, then I slept while we crossed the Atlantic. But then I woke up just as we were coming toward Scotland and England. Well, I've always loved maps from the time I was a kid. So on planes, I love looking at the flight map to see exactly where we are. So I turned it on, and there was the plane now just coming, toward Scotland. So I could see on the map Ireland. And there was Dublin, where my mother's family came from. There was Waterford, where my father's family came from. And I just mused on the mystery of it all. St. Patrick bringing the faith to Ireland eons ago. And then that faith being passed on from generation to generation, finally to my ancestors, who then brought it to my parents, who brought it to me. There's Ireland, my spiritual home. I could see as the plane was crossing through Scotland and England, my many visits to that part of the world, the friends I have there, the associations I've made. And then I watched as the plane passed over the channel and into France, and there of course was Parigi, because the map was in Italian. There was Paris. And all of my associations with Paris, my 3 years as a student there, all that happened to me there, all the study I did, all the opportunities of grace that were given to me when I was in Paris. And then we kept going, and I saw the Alps coming on the map. So I opened up the window so I could look from the map to the Alps. And there they were, right below me, the Alps and all their splendor, all their beauty. Then we passed over the Alps into Italy, and I see there's Milano, where we filmed last year. And that wonderful experience of seeing the tomb St. Ambrose. St. Augustine himself was in Milan. We come down through Italy and Florence and all the wonderful associations with this place, and finally to Rome. Well, here's the reason I'm sharing all that with you. To find God in all things. Was God somehow, yesterday, behind that experience? Here I am sitting in an airplane, just making my way to Rome, just on this sort of routine flight. But yet, I was experiencing a tremendous offer of grace, looking at the map on the plane, looking out the window of my plane to the Alps, an extraordinary sense of the presence of God. Indeed, throughout history, as I looked at the map of Ireland, thinking about my family, the presence of God in my own life as I studied in Paris, the presence of God in those gorgeous mountains. To find God in all things, your whole life will change the minute that mentality takes over. Don't think of God as a distant object that perhaps we might be able someday to reach if we climb the holy mountain through our own heroic efforts. Think of it rather as God, in his mind and his will, wants to be present to us, wants to share his life with us, and offers us his life every moment in all things if we just have the eyes to see. That, I think, stands at the very heart of Ignatian spirituality.